You've seen the postcards of grand boulevards, but the real engine of those cities ran in the dark. In this film, we count down 11 interlocking horrors that kept the wheels turning. Rooms with no air, streets with no sun, nights with no sleep. Stay to see how each one fed the next, like gears in a hungry machine. By the end, the golden age won't look golden at all. Just wet brick, thin walls, and a system that treated survival as a shift you rented. Number 1. Families packed 10 to 15 people into single windowless rooms. The door sticks, it gives, and air does not. 10 bodies share one stale breath over a dirt floor with a low ceiling that sweats. Why pack 10, 12, even 15 into a windowless box? Rents climbed while wages slid, and whole buildings were carved into cells. Boards nailed tight to keep heat in killed the draft. Coal smoke slipped under cracks. Damp crept up the plaster and grew a green film. Reform notes called such rooms fever nests. The math was brutal. Too few cubic feet per person, too much carbon dioxide. Night sweats were routine, not rare. Cough spread in a circle like a candle using up its own flame. No window meant no exchange, only stale days and thick nights. Number 2. Raw sewage flowing through streets and under homes. Rain hits and the lane begins to move. Not with clear runoff, but with what the houses shed, thick and gray. Raw sewage ran through streets and under floors. Pipes were rare, cesspools swelled, and night soil carts skipped rounds. Open gutters carried feces, butcher offal, and dye waste in the same slow stream. Boards above unlined pits softened and bowed. Trapdoors gave way to narrow canals that slid beneath beds. Early boards argued over the price of sewer mains while death counts jumped after storms. Engineers warned that mixed drainage turned one block's waste into the next block's dose. Floods stitched alleys together, yard to court, cellar to curb. Number 3. Children sleeping beside open cesspits and dead animals. A lullaby cuts off at a drip. The crib sits a foot from an open pit. A dead stray lies by the fence, stiff under rags. Beds drifted to the edge because rooms ran out. Yards took the overflow, rags, bones, peelings, until ground turned slick. Pit lids cracked, swelled, and stayed ajar. What should have sealed became a mouth. By day, scavengers hauled bones for grease. By night, rot stayed put. Infants shared corners with refuse heaps. The gas rising, called miasma, burned the throat, stung the eyes, and throbbed in the skull. Coroners recorded asphyxiation after pits were stirred. Stomachs turned, then failed. Inspectors filed notes on animal remains left to fester beside lodging houses. Number 4. No clean drinking water for entire neighborhoods. Whole wards drank from ground that also took the waste. Wells sat a few steps from privies, and the soil drew both with the same pull. River intakes waited below outfalls, so every rise sent more through the taps. Water cellars hauled barrels that baked in sun, sloshed through alleys, and went door to door. Health boards tied bursts of cholera and typhoid to single pumps and intakes. After floods, simple tests showed organic muck in the draw. The cycle ran like a looped track. Pump, cup, fever. Number 5. Fires wiping out whole blocks in minutes. A stovepipe spits a spark. By the time a bucket line forms, the roof is a torch, and heat races faster than feet can run. Blocks fell in minutes because the frames were timber, the walls were thin, and the lanes pinched shut on engines. Shared walls carried heat like a fuse. Resin-heavy shingles flashed at once. Attic racks, piled with drying cloth, fed a steady flame. Insurers stamped whole districts as certain losses and priced them like tinder on a breezy day. Number 6. Disease outbreaks treated as normal life. Outbreaks blended into the work week. Mills ran. Boarding rooms kept their bunks full. Notices went up after the peak, like rain reports posted after a storm. Waves cycled with seasons. Cholera in warm months, typhus in crowded winters, smallpox threading through both. Shop windows pushed cure-alls and tonics with bold type. Employers tracked sick days like weather, expected, variable, and rarely a reason to stop the line. Ledgers and mortality tables showed regular surges, rows of numbers stepping up and down. Newspapers cooled the tone to calm trade, while wards overflowed and cots filled hallways. Illness wasn't an event. It was a setting, costed into rent and wages. Number 7. Infants dying before their first birthday in massive numbers. Infants died in massive numbers before the first birthday. Milk came thin and dirty, stretched with water from bad pumps. Rooms held too many breaths and too little oxygen. Mothers worked long hours, fed in snatches, and slept in fragments. Teething syrups carried quieting drugs, so hunger and fever went muted instead of treated. Vital tallies in poor wards show infant deaths dwarfing adult loss. Early milk checks found heavy bacterial loads, the kind that bloom in warm cans and shared ladles. In rooms without windows, a cold turned cruel fast. Number 8. Rats outnumbering humans inside homes. Rats outnumbered people because food waste never stopped. Wall gaps stayed wide, and sewers offered safe runs. Granaries and attics leaked grain through seams. Butcher scraps in narrow alleys built a nightly buffet. Shared drains linked basements like hallways, so colonies learned routes the way you learn a block's shortcuts. Inspectors logged gnaw marks on cradles and on stored loaves. Tracers followed fleas riding up from cellars, across joists, then into stairwells. You can see the system like a tiny railroad. Sidings in cupboards, a main line under the floor, a terminal at the pantry. Number 9. Buildings collapsing without warning. Buildings fell without a shout because corners were cut. Joists were pulled to carve one more room. Beams sat wet for years, fed by leaks. Add-on floors and back rooms stacked weight without braces. The shell looked firm, but the bones had been pawned. Cellars were dug too deep, shaving earth from under footings. Brick, kept damp by seep, turned soft and friable. Heavy roofs and tanks pushed down through weak ties. A calm day held, then a hard rain came, and the whole frame let go. Inquests listed failure after storms. Surveyors flagged illegal partitions and loaded floors, week after week. Number 10. People renting beds in shifts to strangers. People rented sleep in shifts to strangers. Day hands slid out as night hands slid in, sharing a dent and a damp sheet. Time ruled the room more than keys. A slate on the wall listed slot hours with chalked initials and a narrow grace. Privacy stopped at the mattress edge. Blankets passed lice and scabies in a steady trade, and coughs rode the steam of tired breath like a crowded tram. Police logs noted fights when minutes ran over. Health officers traced clusters of skin rash and fast flu through these shift houses, door to door. The practice worked like a coin slot. Pay, lie down, stand up. Number 11. Streets so narrow sunlight never reached the ground. Streets ran so narrow that light never landed. Walls stayed wet. Spores had time. Overbuilt courts crowded lot lines. Rooms hung out over alleys on brackets, and sky bridges stitched block to block. The slice of sky shrank to a slit, and laundry strung between windows drooped half dry by dusk. Sanitary maps shaded these pockets darker. Inspectors paired low light and high moisture with coughs that lingered and lungs that failed. Reformers took measuring rods to alleys, logged widths, and sketched a minimum setback, arguing that a hand's span more sky meant less damp and less spread.